Right there, at the mouth of St. John Harbor, you'll find this place, often wrapped in fog, Partridge Island. It's a spot that's seen incredible firsts, some really deep tragedy, and it was strategically crucial. I mean, it's a national and provincial historic site, a real cornerstone of Canadian history. But here's the crazy part. Today, you're not allowed to go there. It's completely forbidden. So, we're going to find out why. And that really is the big question, isn't it? Why is it actually illegal to set foot on one of the country's most important historic sites? We're not talking about some quiet little nature preserve here. Nope. Partridge Island is more like a crumbling time capsule of Canadian history. But if you try to visit, you could get into some serious trouble. So, what is it about this island that makes it so important and, at the same time, so off-limits? Okay, so if you were thinking about going, this is what you'd be up against. The only way to get there on foot is this old stone breakwater. And let me tell you, it's not a casual stroll. It's a tough 45-minute scramble over these huge, slippery boulders. And all the while, you've got the world's highest tides from the Bay of Fundy rushing in around you. If you mess up your timing, even by a little bit, you're trapped. And that's not all. You've also got to worry about crumbling ruins, hidden tunnels, and a potential $5,000 fine for trespassing. Yeah, this place pretty much screams, stay away. So, to really get why this island is such a big deal, we need to peel back the layers, look past all those modern-day warnings, and dive into its deep, deep history. For more than 300 years, Partridge Island was the guardian of St. John Harbor. It was simple, really. If you controlled this island, you controlled one of Canada's most vital ports.
And you can see how the island's defenses changed over time. It's pretty incredible. It all started with these simple forts, right back in the fur trade days, a real flashpoint between the French and the English. Then, as the threats got more serious, the fortress grew with them. We're talking gun batteries to fend off revolutionary France and the US. By the time the 20th century rolled around, it was a full-on modern fortress, a critical line of defense against German U-boats in 2 world wars. In fact, get this, from the 1800s all the way to 1947, it was the only site in St. John that was used in every single major conflict.
But the island wasn't just about military might and, keeping people out. It was also about guiding them in, safely. Its location, right at the mouth of that super foggy, really treacherous harbor, made it the perfect place for some amazing innovations in maritime navigation. And when you look at the history, it's just one first after another. Seriously, check this out. In 1791, they built New Brunswick's first lighthouse right here. Then they installed a massive 1,000-pound fog bell. But the biggest deal, the real game changer, was in 1859. The world's first steam-powered foghorn. And if that wasn't enough, in 1905, the province's first radio station was set up on the island. It was a genuine hub for communication and safety.
So what exactly was this steam foghorn? Well, think of a train whistle, but on steroids. It used a steam boiler to blast out this incredibly powerful sound that could slice right through the thickest Bay of Fundy fog and be heard for miles. You have to remember, before this, sailors were pretty much navigating blind in that stuff. This one invention, dreamed up right there on Partridge Island, literally changed maritime safety forever. It was adopted all over the world.
But there's a really tragic story that goes along with it. The guy who invented it was an engineer named Robert Foulis. He came up with the plans, submitted them to the lighthouse commissioners, and they basically blew him off, weren't interested. Then, later, he finds out that his plans were given to another engineer who went ahead and built the thing. A government committee did eventually say, yep, Foulis is the true inventor, but he never saw a dime for it. He died in poverty, never getting paid for his life-saving invention. Just heartbreaking.
All right, now we need to turn to what is, without a doubt, the most heartbreaking chapter in this island's story. Because beyond the soldiers and the lighthouse keepers, Partridge Island was something else. It was the gateway to a new life for tens of thousands of immigrants. But for way, way too many of them, it ended up being their final resting place.
Way back in 1785, Partridge Island became North America's very first quarantine station. The rule was simple. Every single ship carrying immigrants had to stop here first. The whole idea was to check for deadly diseases coming in from Europe, things like cholera, typhus, smallpox, and stop them from spreading to the mainland. For thousands upon thousands of people, this little island was their very first, and for some, their only, taste of the New World.
Well, that whole system was pushed to its absolute breaking point during the Great Irish Famine, and the year 1847, that was the worst of it. It became known as Black 47. The potato crop in Ireland had completely failed, and it sent this wave of desperate people fleeing across the Atlantic, often in ships that were so horrible they were called coffin ships.
Just think about this number for a second. In the summer of 1847 alone, more than 2,000 Irish immigrants died. 800 of them never even made it, dying on that horrific voyage over. Another 600 died right there on the island, and hundreds more passed away after they finally reached the mainland. The island's little hospitals were so completely overwhelmed, the sick and the dying were just forced to lie on the bare ground.
This quote, it just gets to you. It's from the diary of a hospital steward named Nellie McGowan, and it just captures the pure heartbreak of it all. She's talking about burying a little 2-year-old boy. This wasn't some distant, abstract tragedy. This was the daily reality for the people on that island. They saw this kind of unimaginable suffering every single day.
If you could go to the island today, you'd see this, a lonely 40-foot Celtic cross. It stands as the main memorial to all those who were lost. It looks out over the burial grounds, a place where at one point they had to dig a mass grave for over 40 bodies because all the doctors were sick. And there's this chilling detail. It was said that for years afterwards you could spot the mass graves because of the vivid green grass nourished by bones.
So what happened after all that? Well, the quarantine station closed for good in 1941, and the military packed up and left in 1956. And after that, the island just fell silent. The families that lived there, the lighthouse keepers, the soldiers, they all moved away. And what was once this bustling community, it was just left to nature and to decay.
And really, this comparison just says it all, doesn't it? You look at the past, a vital military fortress, a hub for world-changing innovation, the gateway to Canada, a thriving community. And then you look at the present, abandoned ruins, a place it's illegal to even visit, an unprotected historic site, really an island of ghosts. It feels haunted by all the echoes of its own incredible history.
And that brings us back to the big question, really. Here we have this place of huge national importance, a symbol of all the hope, the tragedy, and the innovation that literally shaped this country. And as it just crumbles away, unprotected and totally off limits, what do we owe its memory? How can we possibly honor a history that we're forbidden to even visit? Right now, the island's future seems just as shrouded in fog as its past.